faithfully delivering value, interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. Today I'm going to introduce you to the book, The Upside of Stress. The author is Stanford psychology professor Kelly McGonigal. Her previous book, The Willpower Instinct, was a massive bestseller in China. Since its publication in 2012, it's sold over 3 million copies. Through rigorous research and vivid case studies, Kelly's helped countless people rediscover willpower, overcome procrastination, and better control their lives. But in this Upside of Stress book, Kelly completely overturns conventional views about stress. Stress has always been seen as public enemy number one. People believe stress lowers life quality, causes diseases, even increases death risk. Almost everyone fantasizes about how blissful a stress-free life would be. Kelly used to think the same, until one scientific study shocked her. Back in 1998, a research team surveyed 30,000 Americans about their attitudes towards stress. 8 years later, they followed up and found high-stress folks who believed stress was harmful had 43% higher mortality. Now, that wasn't surprising, but get this, another finding was mind-blowing. Those under high stress who believed stress was beneficial, they had the lowest death rates, even lower than low-stress people. So the researchers made this bold conclusion. What kills isn't stress, but the belief that stress is harmful. They estimated about 20,000 Americans die prematurely yearly just from believing stress is unhealthy. This conclusion made Kelly super anxious. She'd been telling people stress was harmful for years. If this was true, all her previous work was meaningless, maybe even counterproductive. So Kelly became determined to figure out what stress really is. She discovered that embracing stress and seeing its positive aspects leads to greater health and happiness. She even created a Stanford course called The New Science of Stress to help people rethink and manage stress. And wow, this course became wildly popular, attracting folks from all walks of life. Much of the content in The Upside of Stress comes directly from this course. Next, I'll break down the book's main content from 3 angles for you. First, is stress really harmful? Second, how to turn stress into motivation. Third, how to effectively reduce stress. So let's start with the first point. Is stress really harmful? Early in the book, Kelly defines stress as your reaction when something you care about is threatened. This definition shows how universal stress is, whether it's failing an exam, getting stuck in traffic, or dealing with a child's tantrum, all can cause stress. So is stress really harmful? Funny enough, stress's bad reputation as public enemy actually comes from mice. Much of the blame falls on Hungarian endocrinologist Hans Selye. Selye was the pioneer of stress research, known as the father of stress. He was the first to propose that stress is harmful. In Selye's famous experiment, he found that no matter what he injected into mice, hormones, saline, or organ extracts, they developed ulcers, shrunken lymph nodes, and other symptoms. Selye concluded the mice got sick not from the injections, but from the extreme stress of the injection process itself. He also found that exposing mice to extreme heat or cold, or forcing constant exercise, produced identical symptoms. Through these experiments, Selye concluded stress harms mice health. Later, he extended this view to humans, claiming stress similarly damages human health. Selye's methods were adopted by many researchers. Most studies we hear proving stress is harmful come from mouse experiments. But Kelly argues applying mouse findings directly to humans is a huge leap. When people say they're stressed, they might mean, I'm failing this exam. My girlfriend and I fight constantly. Or I can't find a job and might lose my apartment. But this stress is completely different from what mice face. Mice endure unpredictable shocks, injections, or fight desperately for food in crowded cages. That's not stress, it's outright abuse, like a concentration camp. For mice, these tortures are not only unpredictable and uncontrollable, but also meaningless. But for humans, most stress we encounter in life comes from predictable, controllable things that are meaningful to us. Therefore, stress doesn't necessarily have only negative effects on us. Kelly had a pregnant friend who read an article claiming stress could be passed to the baby, making her so anxious she considered taking early maternity leave. Kelly looked into the article and found the study involved mice. Researchers put pregnant mice in water-filled containers with tiny air holes, forcing them to tread water constantly or drown. Compared to this helpless torture, Kelly's friend's work stress was completely incomparable. Using such experiments as evidence is practically a joke. In fact, researchers at Johns Hopkins found that women who experienced higher stress during pregnancy had babies with better brain development, stronger heartbeats, and greater stress resilience. This happens because exposure to maternal stress hormones in the womb leads to more developed nervous systems. Now, that's a valuable conclusion. Kelly argues human stresses are diverse, while mice face the worst extreme. We can't generalize from such cases. Many studies prove stress often has positive effects. Next, I'll discuss 4 benefits of stress. First, stress provides strength to face challenges. There's a well-known story about a teenage girl who lifted a car weighing hundreds of kilograms in an accident to rescue her trapped father. In interviews later, the girl couldn't explain how she did it. Similar cases abound. Many people report feeling more focused and powerful under stress when facing challenges. Scientifically, this happens because stress triggers the challenge response. Deeper breathing oxygenates the heart, while faster heartbeat delivers more oxygen and sugar to muscles. So, stress acts like Popeye spinach, making us stronger, more focused, and better at problem solving. Scientists also found that elite athletes, surgeons, and artists experience strong stress reactions during challenges, but instead of hindering them, stress provides extra physical and mental resources for peak performance. Second, stress encourages you to build connections with others. Many folks think stress makes people more withdrawn and less friendly. But research shows the opposite. Stress actually boosts oxytocin production. Oxytocin, also called the love molecule or cuddle hormone, both men and women have this hormone. It makes us seek social connections, like wanting intimate time with loved ones or grabbing drinks with friends. Oxytocin helps us understand others' feelings and build trust. This is our body encouraging kindness toward others to better handle challenges. What's amazing is oxytocin also helps heart cells regenerate, improving cardiac health. This completely contradicts the common belief that stress causes heart disease. Third, stress helps you learn and grow. After stressful events, we need to reset both body and mind. Stress hormones released during these events actually aid recovery and learning from experiences. Studies show stress hormones activate brain areas for learning and memory, making us replay events and share them. During recovery, emotions like excitement, regret, or sadness flood in, all driven by stress hormones. These hormones help deeply imprint stressful experiences to handle future situations. This growth through stress method is applied in many fields. If you fear public speaking, the standard solution is practicing in small groups first. You'll feel overwhelmed, and afterward, your mind will replay every moment intensely. But these reactions actually help you reflect and improve. Improve your speaking performance, get used to the nervousness during speeches, and eventually overcome speech anxiety. And fourth, stress gives meaning to your life. Many people believe stress only brings pain, but surveys show stress has a very close relationship with happiness. Researchers at Stanford University found that the best predictor of whether someone feels life has meaning is stress. People who've experienced the most stress in the past or are currently under heavy stress tend to rate their lives as more meaningful. Other surveys also found that low stress lives aren't as happy as people think. Many elderly people, after retirement, have much more free time, but their risk of depression increases by about 40%. So, why is that? In Kelly's view, the answer is simple because the most common sources of stress in life are often the same as our life goals. There are many such examples. Young parents worry endlessly about their kids' daily needs, and being woken by cries in the middle of the night is common, but children are also their source of happiness, bringing them much joy. Mountaineers face numerous obstacles when climbing Mount Everest, with every step carrying life-threatening risks. But the sense of achievement upon reaching the summit makes all that stress worthwhile. So, from this perspective, stress and happiness are actually two sides of the same coin. Now, hearing this, you might wonder, is stress good or bad? In Kelly's view, except for extreme situations like those faced by lab mice, whether stress is good or bad most of the time depends on how you perceive it. If you believe stress is a bad thing that will worsen your performance, you're more likely to avoid problems, accumulating more stress and negative emotions, creating a vicious cycle, and eventually breaking down. But if you see stress as your ally, you can face it with a positive attitude, fully harness its benefits, better handle challenges, and achieve growth and happiness. All right, to wrap up this first section, scientific research has confirmed that the view of stress as harmful is one-sided. By approaching stress with a positive mindset, we can bring out its good side, helping us better tackle challenges and grow. So specifically, how can we face stress to harness its benefits? Now, in the second part, we'll first discuss how to turn stress into motivation. As mentioned earlier, stress triggers a series of bodily changes to better handle challenges. Some might wonder, then why do I become stiff as a board under pressure, performing at less than half my usual level? This is because when facing stress, the human body may produce two types of responses. One is the challenge response we discussed earlier, a positive reaction to stress. The other is the fear response, a negative reaction to stress. These responses cause different physiological changes. During challenge response, bodily indicators resemble exercise. The heart pumps more blood per beat, and accelerated blood flow provides extra energy, making you more excited and confident. But the fear response is opposite. The body reacts as if injured, and your blood vessels constrict. At this point, you feel fear, shame, and self-doubt because you perceive yourself as under attack or harmed. You focus more on mistakes and dangers rather than how to use resources to solve problems, naturally leading to poor performance. So, how can we make stress trigger the challenge response instead of the fear response? Psychologists found the key lies in how you view your own problem-solving abilities. So when facing challenges, people mentally analyze and evaluate. For example, how difficult is this problem? What resources do I have? Can I handle this? If we conclude we can't handle it, the fear response kicks in. Conversely, believing we can handle it activates the challenge response. But people often overlook that our attitude towards stress itself is a resource. If we see stress as harmful, it becomes an obstacle and burden. But if we believe stress can enhance performance, it becomes our ally. Psychologists conducted an experiment. They recruited college students and randomly divided them into three groups. Group 1 watched a PowerPoint about how stress helps people face challenges. This presentation criticized the view that stress is harmful. Psychologists told Group 1, when you feel nervous or stressed, remember that stress will help you perform better. Group 2 also saw a PowerPoint, but with opposite content about stress's harms. They were told to ignore stress to perform well. Group 3 was the control group and did nothing. Then all students introduced themselves before two judges. During this, Judges created stress through head shaking, sighing, eye rolling, whatever made participants uncomfortable. Results showed groups 2 and 3 performed identically, with psychologists detecting typical fear responses. But group 1, those taught about stress benefits, showed challenge responses. Psychologists then had others watch recordings of these presentations. Observers rated group 1 students higher. They appeared more confident, made more eye contact, smiled more, and used richer body language. The reason? Stress is inevitable during challenges. It can't be eliminated. Students believing stress must be ignored often thought, with this much stress, I'll definitely fail, sometimes even giving up. But those viewing stress as a resource saw it as normal. They focused on using available resources to meet challenges. This positive approach naturally improved performance. So, when stressed, don't repeatedly tell yourself, calm down, I must calm down, trying to suppress stress. Instead, embrace stress. This excites me and helps me perform better. But what if you want to help others handle stress? Another study found simply telling someone, you're the type who performs better under stress, boosts actual performance by 33%. Even casual remarks like this produce significant effects. Embracing stress has truly magical effects. All right, let's summarize part two's key points. When feeling stressed and nervous, tell yourself, stress is my resource too. It helps me perform better. This activates the challenge response, turning stress into motivation to calmly solve problems. But nobody can live at full throttle forever. Constant stress isn't sustainable, and overwhelming stress from setbacks can trigger negative emotions that halt progress. So, stress reduction is absolutely necessary too. That brings us to part 3, how to effectively reduce stress. The most common stress relief methods involve distraction or intense venting, like going on shopping sprees or binge eating without restraint. But these often don't work. Many people find their negative emotions still there after the high wears off, leaving them anxious, irritable, or even depressed about the original stress. So, what truly works for effective stress relief? Our bodies already hold the answer. As mentioned earlier, stress boosts oxytocin, making us crave connection, understand others, and show kindness. The best stress reduction method, by showing kindness to others, we transform stress into confidence and hope. This simultaneously reduces stress and builds courage to face setbacks. A true win-win. Neuroscientists conducted an experiment where participants brought their partners who received moderately painful electric shocks. Remember, our definition, stress arises when something you care about is threatened. Watching loved ones suffer naturally caused high stress. Researchers divided participants. One group could hold partners' hands, talk, and comfort them. The other group could only stand aside, venting stress by squeezing stress balls. This represented 2 stress coping approaches. 1. Expressing kindness through listening and companionship to directly address stress. Together, distraction and avoidance. Result? Stress ball users felt more anxious and helpless without actual relief. But those who could talk had less stress and more optimism. Kindness recipients don't need to be acquaintances. Helping strangers works too. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania conducted such an experiment. They recruited busy, stressed workers, giving some a vacation to do whatever they wanted. Others also got time off but had to spend it helping others. After the break, researchers surveyed their mindset changes. Those who helped others reported stronger work abilities, better time management, and improved task completion. This finding is counterintuitive. When short on time, we usually first cut time spent on others. But psychologists found helping others effectively reduces feelings of helplessness, boosting confidence to overcome setbacks. Kindness isn't just direct help. Achieving career success that benefits society also counts. Motivations fall into 2 types: Proving oneself, like gaining boss approval or earning more money, or pursuing grander goals, like eradicating diseases or discovering cleaner energy. Psychologists studied how these motivations affect workplace stress, academic achievement, and personal well being. Those focused on proving themselves reported more tension, anger, and loneliness, while those pursuing grander goals showed more curiosity, motivation, and hope about their work. For one reason, self provers focus only on themselves, sometimes harming others' interests, leading to resentment. Whereas grand goal pursuers build better relationships, gaining more support. Another reason, grand goals provide greater meaning, helping persistence through setbacks. These findings have been implemented in some universities. Psychologists guide students to reflect. What person do I want to become? What contributions can I make to society? The results show this not only boosts short term motivation, but significantly improves long term exam scores. If facing work or study challenges, why not ask yourself the same questions? All right, so here we summarize the key points of part 3. The most effective way to reduce stress is to express kindness to others. By helping others, we overcome feelings of helplessness and turn stress into confidence to better face setbacks. We can also set grand goals for ourselves to gain a greater sense of value, making it easier to persevere. With that, we've covered most of the book, The Upside of Stress. Now, let's revisit the main content of the entire book. The common belief that stress is harmful comes from experiments on mice. But in real life, the stress people face is hardly comparable to the extreme situations of lab mice. Scientists have discovered that stress can bring benefits in many situations. It can give you more strength to face challenges, improve your relationships with others, help you learn and grow and find meaning in life. To turn stress into motivation, embrace it, and see its positive significance. When facing challenges, interpret your nervousness and stress as your body's excitement, letting stress become your strength for better performance. And when you encounter setbacks and want to reduce stress, the most effective way is to connect with others. You can turn stress into confidence by helping others or set grand goals to experience more value, both of which greatly reduce your stress and help you befriend stress. Befriend it. That concludes our interpretation of this book. Listening notes are below the audio. See you tomorrow.